Hello everyone. Sorry about my AC in the background, but I've tried recording this with RTX voice and it is just not happening. So please bear with me. But anyway, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my first Outriders video. Just a little history of me and Outriders. I am an official ambassador for the game, like, content creator, whatever. I've streamed it quite a few times, but I've never done any videos about it until now. But seeing as how the game is dying, if not already dead, I just wanted to put my thoughts out there and also put out some build videos since I pretty much have perfect builds on all my characters now. This isn't really like a review, but I guess I'll talk about I guess it is a review. Let's just talk about the campaign, okay? Horrible, very uninteresting. The plot is, very generic. That's not really like a bad thing in my eyes because I'm always super into that kind of sci-fi stuff, but I think it's a pretty, beat down narrative at this point. The biggest issue with it is that they had horrible exposition. A lot of the lore and details behind how these spaceships came to be and how people left Earth is kind of just left up to your imagination, or it's given to you in text in loading screens in a very, very generalized format. So it doesn't really get you into it, and I understand that for the purposes of this type of game, the storytelling isn't going to be anything spectacular, but I'm just here to tell you that yes, in fact, it is not spectacular. I think they did a really bad job, like I said, with the exposition of the story. You don't really learn much as you go. Instead, you get these huge chunks of info once you're like 60-70% through the campaign, and you find it by walking up to a corpse and hunching over it, not through interactions with other NPCs or finding special places or seeing flashbacks or hearing, voice recordings or like AR data logs, kind of like in The Division with the echo devices and stuff. You don't get to experience any of it. Your character just retells whatever the hell they learn from picking up a piece of paper on the ground, and then all of a sudden they have, a 3-act long story about an alien race, apparently. The voice acting, for the most part, was pretty good. The best parts of it, honestly, were when the characters just goofed around, even though it was kind of cringe. But it showed a little bit of personality, okay? Not just these mercenary, guys. So, for example, when Jacob started beatboxing, crap like that, that was cool because it showed, like, these characters have some sort of personality and they aren't just archetypes. Now, I played through the story both as the male character and the female character, and the female has some pretty questionable delivery in a lot of situations. Personally, I feel like the male had a bit more personality in him, even though you both say exactly the same things. Just the way that he said them, I feel like, are a little bit better. Some lines for the female is just so god-awful. I mean, some for the male as well, but I feel like the female had more instances of these, and you literally get a taste of the bad female voice acting right out of the gate when you start a new character, when you're going through the trenches and you're just getting your powers. I'm not even going to play the clip right now because that would mean I have to make a new character, but trust me, it is really, really bad. In a AAA game like this, cutscenes are appreciated. It's not just JPEG of character and press X button to skip dialogue like a lot of Japanese or, games from the East. That is appreciated, but they didn't really do a whole lot to pull you into the story. They're kind of wanky, and the character development was pretty much microscopic, but it's there, so that's nice. But the biggest problem that I had with the campaign is how fragmented the whole experience really is. It feels like you're just connecting a bunch of chunks instead of just playing through the story, and that is kind of hard to swallow when it's already such a horribly linear game. Even though you have a huge truck that you can fully customize, you cannot even drive it. You don't even get to see the POV of people driving through it. Instead, it is just one of an unnecessary 2-step fast traveling process. Transitioning from area to area is beyond annoying, especially in co-op because you can't force the travel. So you just have to verbally tell your teammates to accept, or just hope that they realize because the notification for it isn't the most obvious thing unless they're inside of a menu, and because there is no in-game text chat when people can fly. When, as I was saying, traveling to a certain objective is a chore, okay? If you're anywhere on a map, you would have to find a fast travel flag, travel to camp, talk to the truck person, teleport to the region where the quest is at, then go to the flag at camp to fast travel to the place where your quest is, and 8 times out of 10, the quest takes place in a unique area that you have to load into, so you have to go into that place, initiate travel once again, and then you're finally there to do the damn quest. And then guess what? You have to redo the entire process in reverse to turn in that very quest. The game would have been so much better if it was just like an open world game, or at least have the regions be the only thing that you have to fast travel to, or if the game just let you fast travel from anywhere using your in-game map, which is complete garbage. It does not show you where you are in real time. It doesn't show you where you have to tread. And half of the time, the in-game tracking line thingy completely misleads you, or it's just broken and just leads you into a wall. That is the exception to the rule. I feel like for the most part it's okay, but there have been times where I'm lost because I can't fucking find where I had to go. And the thing just will not help, and the in-game map just does not help. Also, world tiers. Nice concept, horrible execution. I played through the campaign the first time on the highest available world tier, and it was a painful fucking experience, especially solo. Even then, playing through side quests on world tier 15 didn't drop me a single legendary, not a single one, with like a 500% legendary drop rate. Also, now that I mentioned solo experience a little bit, playing this game in solo has its downsides, and playing this game in co-op has even more downsides. In solo, you don't have a way to revive yourself. If you get randomly one-shot, you're fucking dead. The checkpoint system is dog shit. It is dog shit. You basically have to restart the entire encounter, even when they have multiple phases. The most, like, oh my god, the worst offender when it comes to this is this one courtyard mission. I'm sure you guys know which one I'm talking about, which is like this enormous area, and it spawns a shitload of mobs. It spawns a crawler, and then it spawns 2 behemoths that just run at you and try to eat your ass, a million alphas, and if you're playing this on even world difficulty, it is still a challenge. So imagine if you're trying to play this on like a higher world tier. It is incredibly painful. And then in co-op, there's massive scaling. They did patch out the scaling to reduce it a little bit, but it is still pretty damn significant. So if you don't have like maxed out gear for your level, if you don't have level adequate gear, even in co-op, it just feels like the game is even harder because the enemies that you were already struggling to kill have more health. So that's the biggest issue. In co-op, at least, the aggro is kind of split. Sometimes it might not feel like it, but it is split for the most part. So not everything on the entire map is gunning to eat your ass. So you have a little bit more breathing room. Also, you have 1 self-revive per encounter. So if you do get downed, randomly one-shotted, or just massive aggroed, you can just revive yourself and keep going. It is pretty punishing, even though it's a self-revive mechanic. It's still pretty punishing, because if you're playing like Technomancer or Firepower Pyromancer, which a lot of people did playing through the campaign, and going into the CTs, so not CT 15 and above, but going through like CT 1 through 10 or something like that, or Trickster, and you lose your special rounds, blighted rounds, anomaly rounds, or whatever the hell the Pyromancer one's called. You lose that when you die. Your cooldowns or your abilities go immediately into cooldown. So it is pretty punishing, even though you do have that self-revive, so I think that's pretty okay. But again, solo, you don't have that self-revive, everything's trying to fucking kill you, and the scaling, even though it's worse in co-op, it's not that massive, but it is noticeable. So it's just like, there's no incentive to play co-op, and this game is broken. Horrible crashes, incredibly frequent for people across all platforms, especially on PC. Every single time they patch something in, or there's a bug, all the developers say on Twitter is, oh, this might be an issue with multiplayer, so we just advise you to play solo. Every single time there's been an issue, it's just like, bro, just go play solo. So what the hell is the point? What is the point, dude? And honestly, it feels bad because even though this game, you can play it completely solo, obviously you can beat the entire thing, even CT 1 through 15, by yourself. I've done it on basically every single class, even Devastator. Like, it's a game that feels like it's meant to be played co-op, but it's limited to 3 players instead of 4, even though there are 4 classes, which I find kind of questionable. And then second of all, it just breaks when you're in multiplayer, and it feels like it's harder when you're in multiplayer, and there's no extra reward for grouping up and finding people to play with. Basically, most co-op sessions out there right now are just people playing with their girlfriends and or just going into carry lobbies. That's basically all it is. That's 99% of, multiplayer lobbies. It's just people getting carried because the game is simply way too difficult for them. Okay. Now let's talk about the classes and the gameplay, okay? The classes are great. I feel like they all feel and play very differently from each other, and I love how they each have their own way of healing. So honestly, even if you did play a bullet build on a Techno, Trickster, and even a Pyro, they all feel different in their own way. The abilities feel good to use, and they look good. Sometimes the sound design on them is questionable, like Blighted Round sounds pretty horrible, and meleeing is ridiculously loud, but for the most part, they are great. I personally love the Devastator sound effects. They're really satisfying to hear, but for the most part, like I said, the abilities feel good to use, and the gunplay also feels good. So even though the game is a cover-based shooter that doesn't promote you using it whatsoever, kill to heal, powers on tap, covers for cowards, I don't really understand why they would bother putting in a cover system that you would never want to use, nor the game wants you to use. But it's in there, I guess. Especially, you're going to feel the need to use it when you're playing on higher world tiers that are just way above your pay grade. You really need to take cover. You can't just be running around getting shot, because you're probably just going to get one shot. And the game feels really, really punishing when you don't play uber aggressive. So the game's concept of, playing super aggressive, this Doom style fuel rampage of you just killing stuff and using your abilities to heal yourself is a really good concept, but because the world tier scaling is so bad and the CT scaling can get pretty tough, it definitely feels like the game is unbalanced in that regard, because you just cannot sit there and take bullets, and these ads do not miss, bro. Those riflemen do not miss. They don't. And the AI is kind of smart. They will flank you. They will throw grenades if you're in cover. They will use abilities. They will send melee mobs after you. Melee mobs have teleports, and they dash around after you shoot them once to try to dodge your bullets, which is pretty good. But yeah, it can get pretty rough. I also feel like there was a missed opportunity for an ultimate ability of sorts. 3 abilities plus a unique melee is good enough, obviously, but having an ult would have made it a lot more satisfying in a lot of scenarios, something to build up towards and kind of use against elites and stuff like that. And I think it would help in Endgame for expeditions leading up to CT15, because a lot of players struggle to get through. For every character, top tree is all about gun damage and gunplay, middle tree is all defensive, and then bottom tree is about ability damage / anomaly power. In almost no situation would you ever use the middle tree. There's no incentive to play a tanky class or urge you to play defensive when the game requires such high levels of uber aggression to succeed and survive, especially in Endgame. But maybe if we had ultimate abilities and some of the very spicy ones were in the middle tree, some people would be inclined to invest into it a little bit. Maybe something like you require a certain amount of points into a tree in order to unlock the ultimate ability from that tree, sort of like a halfway point. I think that would have been a good idea, but maybe we'll get that in a future update. Okay, so expeditions. At first, very simple system, very good. Just run a thing and you get some rewards at the end, and that's it. But the scaling going from CT10 through 13 is pretty tough. I feel like this is the hardest part of when I started a new character. Getting all the way from CT0 to 10 was pretty straightforward. I just kept the same build and just kept leveling stuff up as I went. But then once you get into level 47, 48, 49, you start to need a lot of drop pod resources to level up your gear if you want to continue with the same build. And it literally goes from 400 drop pod resources to 7k. It's such a huge jump that you kind of have to be under leveled when you're running through these CTs, and that makes it very, very difficult. So I really don't understand why the scaling is so bad in terms of drop pod resources and also obviously enemy difficulty. And this is I'm only talking about CT10 through 13, okay? Once you head into 14, it's doubled. It's double. The amount of resources that you need is insane. You need 35k to level up a legendary, and then when you go from 14 to 15, 15, you need 75k. Like, it's a crazy, crazy amount of resources that you probably are not going to be able to get for a very long while. So I feel like the biggest grind, and the reason why there are so many carry lobbies out there, is because people get to these CT 10 through 12, you know, and they start to really struggle because they're under leveled, and it's going to take them a million years to level up all of their gear. So that's when people just join carry lobbies, complete a couple CT15s, boom, unlock level 50, and then they just grind out, you know, the drop pod resource to level up their gear, and also the legendaries that they're missing as well. Me personally, I had to play through all my characters by myself because I was unable to join anyone online. Everybody could join me, my friends could join me, match-made people like randoms, people from crossplay, but I couldn't join anyone. From day one, I had this issue, and I did everything I could. I changed my network settings, I forwarded ports one by one, I used my VPN, I reinstalled the game. Nothing worked. Okay, I had to play through the horrible campaign by myself 5 times. Yes, 5 times, because I deleted my original trickster and I made a new one that was female because I just simply hated how chunky the male model looked with a lot of gear. Anyway, I had to play all of it by myself, and it was incredibly painful. If you start a secondary character, you can just ask somebody, hey, can you just boost me? They take you to the final mission, they one-shot the final boss, boom, it unlocks the Outriders camp for you. The entire story is cleared. You get 3 free guaranteed legendary drops if they have an extra 4 minutes of their time to lend to you. And, you know, there you go. But no, I had to run through the entire thing 5 fucking times. It was very, very painful. So please fix that. People can fly. I'm sure there are other people that have the same issue. But, you know, back to what I was saying, the CT scaling is pretty rough to deal with, and the rewards are very, very questionable, okay? This is something the community has been complaining about. This is the loudest thing the community has been complaining about, the stinginess of legendary drop rates. People are still, you know, debating between running CT15s or 13s. CT15s, obviously, you have 4 chances of getting a 25% chance for a legendary. On CT13, it's only, I think, 15% chance. But because the enemy level is so much lower, you can kind of just turn your brain off, and you don't really have to worry about dealing massive damage or getting one-shotted because you're going to be over-leveled at that point, and you can just turn your brain off with any class and just blaze through these so you can get more runs in per hour compared to CT15s. So, you know, I've tried a million things, dude. I have tried running only CT15s, only running CT13s. I feel like it's just horrible RNG, but I will tell you what, when I'm getting a character that's like level 49 or just freshly got gear to 50 and I don't have like an amazing build, running CT15s and getting no legendaries 3 or 4 times in a row is absolutely rage-inducing for a gold solo clear. Another thing is that the scaling issue for co-op is way more prevalent in these high-level, you know, expeditions because the enemy levels just scale exponentially. So they're even more tankier than what you're used to. It's better, like I said, it's better now than what it was, but it's still there, and it's annoying if you're just playing with your friends and none of you guys are super optimized. The other issue is the massive loot pool and no dedicated drops. There are 46 legendary weapons and 4 unique armor sets for each class, a universal legendary set, aka the cannonball set that we all know and love, of course, and a couple of legendary universal helmets. And like I said, no dedicated drops means that it's incredibly hard to get the one specific legendary you need for your build. Me personally, it took me 195 hours of only Trickster to get my first Ugake helmet. 195 hours to get my first Ugake helmet, and that was on my second character. It took me probably another 30 hours to get the lower Chronosuit pants. Literally the 2 legendaries that you need to really make a good Trickster build. It took me over 220 hours to get. I didn't start a new character until I got those items. It took me damn near 70 hours on my Devastator to get the seismic helmet, and to this day I've only gotten 1. So I can't make an Impale build because I made an Earthquake build, and I'm really just not gonna grind for another one. So the game is stingy, and it's just all completely RNG, okay? Do not listen to these retarded YouTubers that are telling you different expeditions are dropping X legendaries like crazy, because it's a load of bull, okay? I watched them and I tested them myself. I fed into this, I don't know, lie. And I did this, dude. I did this. I was literally just so desperate to get that Ugake helmet that I would do anything. I would believe any false god because I just wanted to get that drop. You know what I mean? But it's pointless. Just do whatever the hell you can as quickly as possible because it's completely RNG. A simple fix to this for me would be to guarantee a legendary at CT15. That is the minimum. Just one guaranteed legendary on CT15, and then you have 3 additional chances for a legendary just like we have now. Another thing that they could implement alongside this is to have a daily rotating modifier that increases the drop rates for certain types of legendary weapons. So for example, today is Friday when I'm recording this video. So today on Friday, there's 150% increased drop chance for legendary and epic shotguns. Then tomorrow on Saturday, there's 150% increased chance for legendary and epic chest armor, and so on and so on. Now here's the cool thing if you combine both of these systems. If you run a CT15 today, which has, increased legendary shotgun drop chances, when you get your guaranteed legendary on a CT15 gold, it is going to be a legendary of the daily rotation. So if you do it today, Friday, which is increased legendary shotgun drop rate, you run a CT15 on gold and you guaranteed have a legendary shotgun drop. You might get unlucky, but this would substantially cut down on the RNG and would allow people to target farm while still having an incentive to check in and play every day because, they might need a helmet for their build, they might be looking for a higher firepower death shield, whatever the case it may be. I think this would make so many people happy. That last thing might seem like it's too nice, like to guarantee a legendary drop of the day. But, maybe you could limit it. Maybe you could limit it to where it's only 3 per day or something like that, at least. I don't know. I think that would make a lot of people happy, like I said. Another thing about expeditions are the ones that cost drop pod resources. What is the point? Why do they cost drop pod resources to run if they don't have any special modifiers? They don't drop anything else. They don't give you more drop pod resources as a reward. They're not exactly quicker or easier to run either. So what is the point? They're not really harder or more challenging. So they're longer, and Drought Palace costs like fucking 60 drop pods. Like, that's such an insignificant amount of drop pod resources. Why isn't it just free? Like, why is that even there? These should have an additional loot modifier, like an extra drop. All of them should cost the same amount of drop pod resources, and they should be a significantly higher cost. Give them an extra drop and make them cost like 12,000 or 15,000 drop pod resources on CT15, and lower the cost scaling out off of CT levels. So if you unlock, I can't remember what level you unlock each one, but the point is if you're playing it on CT12, it doesn't cost 12k. Let's just say it costs 7k, and so on and so on. The cost increases as you try to launch them in CTs. I think that would be fair. And like I said, just give them an additional legendary drop chance or give them an additional drop, something to make it worth running these other than whatever. Also, what the hell is the point of Eye of the Storm? It doesn't drop anything unique. It doesn't have any extra drops. It costs a shitload of pod resources. And for what? An accolade? You can't even gold it solo. They need to add something to Eye of the Storm. Maybe in the future we'll get new legendaries that only drop from Eye of the Storm. I think that would be my preferred thing. Maybe if they wanted to keep being as stingy as they are, they could just add the legendary drop chance thing only to Eye of the Storm. So there's 150% increased legendary shotgun drop chance on Fridays, only in Eye of the Storm. I think that would be okay. That's a worst case scenario, but I would still be okay with that. If not, they could possibly add a modifier that completing Eye of the Storm, whenever you do get legendaries, or honestly just the gear in general that drops from Eye of the Storm, has higher rolls, okay? So it's, guns that drop there naturally come with like 90k plus firepower. Armor comes with 11k armor. I think that would be decent as well, if just the rolls that actually drop from that place are high stat rolls. That would be enough reason for me personally to only run Eye of the Storm, because I want the highest stats, I want the min-max potential. So, yeah. So if I only have complaints about this game, why the fuck did I play it? Why do I still play it? If everything is bad, what's the point? Well, not everything is bad, okay? And the game is addicting, okay? The game does a great job at creating that dopamine rush when you see a legendary drop after a run. It makes you want to go again. It's kind of challenging to survive. It makes you want to optimize your, build so you can limit test. And the game feels good to play. The movement, the guns, abilities are great. The gore is great. The anime AI is annoyingly great. The game has so much potential, and this could have been another one that could have joined the big three. And, you know, the big three of looter shooters being Destiny, Borderlands, and Warframe. Maybe The Division should be included in there as well, but I haven't played enough. Definitely, if it's active, then it should be up there. Point is, all the negativity in the community, you know, the only YouTube videos I see are all complaining about the game, nitpicking every little thing from Reddit or from People Can Fly's tweets, the annoyance from people towards the developers for all the bugs, the stability problems, the cheating, the loot stinginess, the network issues, and most of all, the fact that People Can Fly said outright a long time ago that this game would not be a games as a service, which isn't a bad thing, but a very unusual thing for a game within this genre, because considering the state that it's in, it just gives me no hope for more content. Now, they did tweet before I wrote the script, or after I wrote the script, they did tweet that they are looking to make more Outriders content in the future, which was completely out of left field, to be honest. But I don't know if that content is going to be substantial. We don't know what the hell it's going to be, but, you know, with the amount of players that are still playing the game, I mean, they made a shitload of money off of this game, and Square Enix apparently wants to make it one of their franchises, or like one of their mainline franchises, which I doubt, to be honest. But are we going to get another class? One more, or, you know, more legendary guns? More balance patches? Because honestly, the meta's pretty stale right now. It just fills you up with disappointment. It just makes me feel the same way I felt with Anthem. So much potential, and those are the ones that hurt the most. I have suffered through so many heartbreaks with games that showed so much promise, but the devs just buried their own creation, dude. Anthem, Paragon, Gigantic, it hurts, man. It hurts. I don't want Outriders to be that. You know, I think this game has amazing concepts. I think it has one of the best loot systems I've ever seen in a game. The beauty of just being able to make a green drop, one of your main endgame items, like you just level it up, you carry it with you. You can make a build so early on. You can make a build at level 8, you know, level 12. Please, People Can Fly, just fix the game. Listen to the community, fix the loot, don't be so stingy, because I honestly love this game. I love min-maxing, I want to keep playing it, but there's nothing for me to do anymore, you know? I've gotten all the legendaries in the game, I have perfect builds on all my characters, there's nothing for me to chase, and that's not really your fault, but, you know, there's no transmog, there's no prestiging like in Diablo, no one that I know plays this game, you know? So all that's left for me to do is to basically become a Sherpa and just, like, do carry lobbies. So that's pretty much why I'm done with Outriders for now. Anyway, I know this was a very rambly video, it's very long, but I wanted to get my thoughts out there. Like I said, I'm an ambassador for the game, and I haven't really made any content on YouTube for it, but I figured I would do it now or never, so yeah, here it is. But yeah, guys, I will be streaming on Twitch every now and then. I'm not going to pretend to have a schedule or anything like that. I'm just going to do it whenever I have the free time for it, and I'm not too tired from work and all that stuff. So if you guys want to stop by, just make sure you're following me on Twitch. Anyway, guys, if you've made it this far into the video, if you're playing Outriders, if you need help, be sure to join the Discord and just message me personally if you want to play. I'll be streaming Outriders carries, and if you, like I said, if you made it this far into the video, this is just info that you and I know. But nobody joins my streams. I get like no viewers on Twitch. I just stream for the hell of it. So if you need help in Outriders for carries or whatever, you know, nobody's going to be in my stream that actually plays this game. The people that are going to be there are just going to be there to hang out, not really play or get carries. So just join by. Just join by, and I will help you guys with whatever you guys need. But anyway, I'm going to make some build videos, and that'll be it for me in terms of Outriders content. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one. Take care.